This book right here, Preventing a Church Split by Gene Edwards, is very interesting. He actually tells off on a lot of the things that go on inside of this false hierarchical system called church and this clergy laity type thing that goes on, which is false. So it says, what splits do to workers? It says, where does a Christian worker end up after a steady diet of splits and raids after 30 or 40 years in the ministry? I do not know, but if he is still in the ministry, wherever he is probably overreacting. The truth is, after a lifetime of seeing divisions, most ministers are overreacting to the mere possibility of a split. True, sometimes the split he sees is not there. He is reacting to shadows instead of waiting until a full-blown split develops, as he did in his youth. Today, the weary ministers may react very early to what he sees as a potential split. On the other hand, he may not be overreacting and stopping the problem early. He may be exercising great wisdom. Is he being wise or overreacting? God alone knows. I don't agree with everything this author says. I'm just showing you a great point of how there's like paranoia that plagues those false systems too. And I've seen this from people because they do a lot of just preemptive strikes that they understand because they've been doing it a long time. It's like a mob mentality kind of thing. They're preparing the mob to take their side in a fight. Be a little sympathetic with Christian workers for just a moment. And they're saying workers and distinct from the laity. That's what we don't, or I don't believe in. It's not in the scriptures. So sometimes they do see ghosts. Yes, it is possible they might see a potential division when there really is none. Yes, and sometimes they overreact. But you cannot prove a worker is overreacting any more than he can prove he is exercising great wisdom. Is the minister seeing only shadows, or does he know something you do not know? If you were seeing a situation arise and always in the past had ended in division every time, what would you do in that situation if you were a Christian worker? Right now, perhaps all you see in your church is a disgruntled Christian over in the corner quietly griping. You know the kind, the professional belly acher. All you noted was that in a recent meeting he asked a barbed question. The minister who watched that question fly may see a split brewing. Who can tell which of you is seeing reality? So that's just an example of the paranoia that plagues that false system anyways, and that's why there's millions of churches and not just one who are all just members who are instrumentality of Christ and not getting involved in politics. So this book right here is by it's called Reimagining Church by Viola, and I don't agree with a lot of stuff he says, but he hits the same point. And I think he hit it dead on right here. He says, I believe the division of the Christian church is rooted in the evolution of the clergy laity class distinction. This distinction began to crystallize around the 3rd century. The emergence of this hierarchical system, which violently ruptured the priesthood of all believers into a clergy class and a laity class, was the first major division known to the body of Christ. Once the clergy-laity fault line was created, various clergymen began to divide amongst themselves on theological matters. This spawned a self-perpetuating movement that has reproduced a raft of new sects in every generation. The notable feature of these sects is that the people within them gather around their favorite leader or doctrine instead of around Jesus Christ alone. So, one thing I'd like to share with you along with that is that in Genesis chapter 3, when Satan tempts Eve and she brings it back to Adam and they both transgress and fall, that is like the first split that happened right there to divide man against God. And then you see it happening in the scriptures over and over again. But again, in Genesis chapter 11, when they decide to willfully disobey God again and start building the city for doing what God did not say that they ought to do. So, all right, well, I hope that helps, and y'all take it easy. All right, bye.